We give thanks for the past, for those who had vision, who planted and watered so dreams could come true. We give thanks for the present, for all the ways this community inspires us and supports us to turn prayer into deed. And we hope that it is with gratitude and joy that we offer our gifts to nourish and grow the sources of goodness that we receive both inside and beyond this community. Thank you, Linda, for sharing the many ways that you have given and received in this community over the years. You are such an important part of our interdependent web. We are excited to be kicking off a campaign to tend our congregational roots today. A team of us have been working hard behind the scenes for weeks now. Can the Tending Our Roots team please stand up or wave if you're here in the room? There are others who are helping out at various stages of the campaign, and there's a core team that has been dutifully meeting on Wednesday afternoons, the last time for 2.5 hours. But it's a fun group, and it's exciting. This campaign is a celebration of interdependence and an invitation to generosity, shared ownership, and collective thriving. That's really what it's all about. Now, before I say any more about the campaign, I want to root us in our UU shared value of interdependence. Can we have our slide? There we go. Interdependence. We honor the interdependent web of existence with reverence for the great web of life, and with humility, we acknowledge our place in it. Humidity. See, I wrote that. I'm feeling very humbled. Perfect. We honor with humility and humidity our place in the web of life, no matter how hot and steamy it is. We covenant to protect Earth and all beings from exploitation and extreme humidity. This is why we're doing an HVAC campaign, by the way. We could just keep going like this. We will create and nurture sustainable relationships of care and respect, mutuality and justice. We will work to repair harm and damaged relationships. Trees are such a great model of interdependence, aren't they? I could see how much we all love them when Annika asked us to share our favorite trees. From the germination of a seed to the sturdy lengthening of trunk and limb to the fullness of a canopy, from spring buds to autumn's fallen leaves and the eventual decomposition into soil, trees remind us that life and death are interdependent. Trees are critical hubs in many ecosystems, giving and receiving the stuff of life all the time. Their roots draw nourishment from the soil, their leaves draw energy from the sun. In return, trees provide shelter, nutrients, and structures of all kinds for all sorts of beings. Trees breathe in carbon dioxide, which we breathe out, and breathe out oxygen, which we breathe in. Trees communicate underground through root systems and fungal networks. Sometimes mature and healthy trees, called mother trees, divert nutrients to young or injured trees through this living wood wide web, as that underground network is sometimes called. In all these ways, trees are good models for religious community. Unitarian Universalism itself is like a tree, with roots in the rich soils of Jewish and Christian traditions, growing and branching over time into diverse expressions of core commitments. The new UUA covenant of shared values that we have been exploring the past couple of months is a new expression of core commitments that both evolve and abide over time. The way UUCSR is organized How we make decisions and govern ourselves in this congregation likewise reflects the larger tree of Unitarian Universalism and its historic roots. So where does the value of interdependence come from in our tradition? Those of us familiar with the former UU principles will immediately recognize wording from the seventh principle. We honor the interdependent web of all existence and acknowledge our place in it. The seventh principle was not part of the set of principles that were established at the consolidation of the Unitarian and Universalist denominations in 1961. At that point, there were only 6 principles, all focused on mankind. In the early 1980s, the UU Women's Federation led a national effort to make those original principles more gender inclusive and to incorporate environmental awareness and interdependence into the core expression of Unitarian Universalism. And I was thrilled to learn recently that Adrienne Swenson, a longtime member of this congregation, was instrumental in the successful campaign to adopt the seventh principle in 1985. How many of you knew that or knew Adrienne? Fantastic. Adrienne and others worked tirelessly at General Assemblies for the addition of that principle, which quickly became one of the most important for many of us, including me. So deep gratitude to Adrienne and for this community for supporting her and working with her in that endeavor. Well, the seventh principle committed UUs to respect the interdependent web of all existence. The new wording of the interdependence value commits us to do so with reverence and humility, or humidity. And to you'll never think about it the same way. And to actively protect the earth and all beings from exploitation. It also extends the value of interdependence to all our relationships. 2 weeks ago, in the service on the value of pluralism, I talked about the historic commitment to freedom of choice and freedom of conscience in our tradition, which ultimately led to our growing pluralism of beliefs. The freedom of belief section in the new UA covenant states, congregational freedom and the individual's right of conscience are central to our Unitarian Universalist heritage. As I said 2 weeks ago, in the face of tyranny and religious nationalism, this has been and continues to be an essential and liberating aspect of our tradition. Yet, the dedication to individual freedom and autonomy in our tradition has historically overshadowed our commitment to interdependence, mutuality, and collective thriving. And this has come at a cost, especially when it aligns with the dominant American culture of individualism. In an influential speech to the UU Ministers Association in 2012, Reverend Frederick Muir said, "We, as a nation and a religious community, took the blessing and joy of individuality and made it an ideology of individualism." Sociologist Robert Bellah put it more pointedly when he told the UUA General Assembly in 1998, the fatal error of all dissenting religion is that the solitary individual is somehow prior to community. Bellah's point was that a religion that centers the sacrality of the individual cannot effectively critique, much less transform, the toxic forms of individualism and capitalism that are tearing apart the social and ecological fabric of life. Point well taken. At our best, we UUs strive to hold both individual freedom and collective thriving together. But it's challenging. As a movement, we still sometimes struggle to claim the transformative power of being a religious community that centers collective liberation, collective flourishing. There's a tension in our movement between different ways of understanding congregations. On the one hand, there's this model of congregations as autonomous collections of free-thinking individuals. And on the other hand, there's the model of religious congregations as religious communities that share a common vision, mission, and purpose in the world. And of course, these models often intermingle. You will sometimes find congregations that really display one model or the other, but often they're sort of present in a mix in communities. The result of the former, the way of thinking of congregations as just an autonomous collection of individuals, is a tendency to silo. Frederick Muir calls that form of thinking about church I-church, I with a capital I, as in iPads and our devices where we all get to be separate and holding our devices and getting what each of us wants, that kind of individualism. We see this tendency to silo within congregations when individuals and groups vie for their own preferences rather than prioritize collective agreements, shared goals, or the well-being of the whole. And we see this tendency to silo between congregations as well, when they disconnect from larger UU networks meant to support, enrich, and sustain Unitarian Universalism. This tendency to silo disempowers us. We have so much more to offer in these times, which are polarizing, uncertain, and dangerous times, than more individualism. And that's not just because we have expanded our sources to include Eastern, Indigenous, and Earth-centered spiritualities that value interdependence. It's also because we are heirs to a rich and varied theological tradition that insists that across all our many differences, we human beings are one. A theological heritage that claims that we share the same source and the same destiny. That says even if we disagree about what it is or how to name it, there is something larger that holds us together as kin. God, love, earth, the universe, the web of life, or simply community. Understanding ourselves in relation to a larger whole helps us see ourselves and see each other as relatives, as kin, as bearing some responsibility for each other in our shared world. Our early forebears were persecuted, of course, for preaching the heresy of universal salvation, for daring to claim that salvation is collective, that is not just for the chosen or the elect, but for the wealthy or the educated, the pious or the innocent, but for everyone. What this means to many of us UUs today is that there are no disposable people. On the journey toward liberation and wholeness, no one should be left behind, and as we expand our circles of concern and deepen our understanding of interdependence, this includes ecosystem and non-human beings. Our new shared values embrace this vision of collective flourishing, and our covenants commit us to working to manifest it together. Interdependence. We honor the interdependent web of existence with reverence for the great web of life and with humility. We acknowledge our place in it. We covenant to protect Earth and all beings from exploitation. We will create and nurture sustainable relationships of care and respect, mutuality and justice. We will work to repair harm and damaged relationships. Of course, it's not only theologies and spiritualities that support the value of interdependence, science does too, and simple observation of how the world works. Just like trees need carbon dioxide, sunshine, and nutrient-rich soil and water to flourish and offer their gifts to the world, we all exist in webs of life-sustaining mutuality. Tending to health in an interdependent system requires noticing when things are out of balance, and then shifting energy to the parts that need it. When we do this collectively, Acknowledging our interdependence, we can embrace our roles in sustaining what sustains us with reverence, gratitude, and joy. Let's consider this community, UUCSR. Well, this community is connected to the wider UU network of Unitarian Universalism, is a member of our National Association of Congregations, and we'll be having a UU revival of Sonoma County and North Bay UU congregations here in June. So we are continuing. We'll share that date. I can't remember it right now, but it will be wonderful. So we are connected, and at the same time, as you heard from Linda, we are self-governing and self-funded, as are all UU congregations. The mother tree analogy of the Wood Wide Web doesn't work so well for us as a denomination because there is no larger body sending us nutrients of the financial kind. Support, information, connection, and other kinds of critical resources, yes. But money? Nope. Paid staff? Nope. We're on our own for that, which makes us all the more dependent on each other, the members and friends of this community, past and present. As Linda said, UUCSR is an interdependent whole. We share our gifts, support one another, govern ourselves, and strive to nurture sustainable relationships. So how are we doing? How is the health of our UUCSR ecosystem? Let's imagine our congregation as a tree. There we go. Thanks to Beth Craven for designing our tree. Look at it. It's beautiful. It has a sturdy trunk, many beautiful, colorful leaves, a thick canopy. The canopy represents our programs and ministries. The leaves are the many, many, many things we offer here. Now imagine, as I read the list of the things that we offer here, and I'm sure that it's not a complete list, imagine they are all the leaves up here. Worship, music, pastoral care, our children, youth, and adult religious education programs, parenting, meditation, and grief groups, soul matters groups, the Covenant of UU Pagans, older and bolder groups, book groups, and circle dinner groups, men's, women's, and LGBTQ groups, service and social justice programs, including Saturday breakfast for our neighbors, the Sanctuary Task Force, climate justice, and dismantling white supremacy culture groups, our Share the Basket program, the Justice Council. Up in that colorful canopy are also the kitchen volunteers, safety stewards, the communications committee, the flower and aesthetics committees, office volunteers, ushers, and greeters. Wow, that is a lot of leaves. This community does so much. We've got a big flourishing canopy. It's what I noticed immediately first when I came here in August. We've got a sturdy trunk too. Let's call that our physical building, a big and solid structure that houses the many programs and groups that we offer. Or perhaps our trunk is our staff, who help us hold up that canopy of programs. Both the building and our staff depend upon the nutrients from the roots to support that canopy. So now, what's under the surface? What do our roots represent? The roots of our congregational tree are our institutional committees, the board of trustees, the nominating committee, the finance and fundraising committees, including stewardship, the endowment committee, and the Glazer Center committee that helps with rentals. The building and grounds committee is also down there in the roots, along with human resources and membership committees. All these groups are less visible than the trunk and the canopy, but they are critically important. They are the foundation of the whole structure. Although it depends on the species, tree roots typically spread 2 to 3 times wider than the canopy, in order to draw nutrients from the soil to sustain and anchor the tree. The bigger and heavier the canopy, the wider the roots need to grow, or deeper, or both, right? Otherwise, what happens? The canopy withers, the tree gets sick and weakens, or it falls. Right now, just like this picture, most of our tree's energy and growth is up there in the canopy. Our root system is comparatively weak. We are out of balance. In order to sustain our flourishing canopy, we need to tend our roots. We want our root system to look more like this. Can we have the next slide? To look more like this. The purpose of Tending Our Roots campaign is to direct more energy and attention to sustaining our institution, which includes fundraising, building maintenance, and strategic leadership. Yes, we do need more funds to replace our failing HVAC system and to fairly compensate our hardworking staff. But even more important for the long-term sustainability of UUCSR is our need for more volunteers at the root level. And I want to tell you, if you were like me, thinking, no way, I would not go down there at the root level, thinking that maybe the committees down there are kind of drudgery. Maybe you don't think that, but I used to think that. But it's actually very interesting and rewarding down there at the roots. I have degrees in English, gender studies, and religion. I'm a big picture thinker, I'm not very detail-oriented, and I have a bad memory. I've never been drawn to the kinds of work down there at the institutional roots, administration, governance, and finance, and as a fairly new minister, that's the part of ministry that scared me the most. But now that I have been down there in the roots with the committees in this church, I actually have found it very interesting down there in the soil. There's a lot going on in the congregational roots, and most of it doesn't actually require specialized expertise. It's nice when 1 or 2 people have specialized expertise, but not everybody needs it. It requires a willingness to engage, to ask questions, to share your ideas, to try new things, and to simply help out. You will get to know interesting people, dedicated people. You will learn new things, and you will gain satisfaction from knowing you're strengthening the roots of this beloved community, not only for those of us already here, but for those yet to come as well. My friends, this congregation has so much to offer the wider community, especially right now, with everything going on in our country and world. If we grow our roots, if we increase our capacity to be creative and strategic about how we generate and use resources to support our mission and manifest our values in the world, who knows what might unfold for us and for the wider community. In the next couple of days, you will be receiving more information about the Tending Our Roots campaign. In the coming weeks, there will be opportunities to talk to members of the campaign team and ask questions as you reflect on where you might contribute. We are all in different life situations with different gifts, different capacities, different circumstances. Some of us can give a lot in time, in treasure, or both. Some of us can give only a little, and that's okay. We are interdependent. What matters is that all of us contribute what we can to sustain what sustains us all. And we hope that you will be able to give something in all 3 areas of the campaign. The members of our Board of Trustees are already leading the way. Not only are they already tending our roots by serving on the board, but they also have made financial contributions to the campaign. All of them have already done that. Thank you, board members. A generous donor has offered to match pledge increases so we can get staff compensation levels up. And as Linda shared earlier, we are already over halfway to the total amount needed to replace our failing HVAC. That really is amazing. Thank you to everyone who has already contributed to this critical building repair. I know that together we can do this. To celebrate this community and all the gifts so generously given to create and sustain it over the years, our board members have prepared a barbecue lunch for us following the service. In typical interdependent style, each one brought a dish from home. With reverence for the great web of life, and with humility and joy, let us share in the feast. Everyone is welcome.